another stream and another great indie game, another great indie title, Marko Beyond Brave. And with me we have Bobby from Studio Mechka. Bobby, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's actually pronounced Studio Mechka. It's a bit difficult. We didn't consider that when we were choosing the name of the studio. It means
Meshka.
bear in Bulgarian. Yeah,
It's not
Mechka.
hard. It's just me that I'm dumb. Meshkan is not very hard to pronounce. And it's very well written. I just
Yeah,
read it incorrectly.
that's okay.
Boyan, let's go to the game and start a new one, and we talk as we go along.
Sure.
Let's start a new game. What can you tell me about Marko Beyond Brave?
Okay, so Marko Beyond Brave is a game inspired by Slavic and Balkan folklore and myths. Marko himself actually is sort of like a legendary hero in the region, but this is his origin story. He's more like, for the unfamiliar people, he's like King Arthur of the Balkans, something like that, but a bit more with qualities of Superman. So we started developing the game in 2019 with concepts. We decided to check if there's something worth selling, and we did a Kickstarter in 2021, sorry, which was successful, quite successful. Over 600 people pledged to help us bring this to life. And then from then on, we've been developing the game for almost 2.5 years. We're quite close to end of production. I cannot tell you when it's coming out, but it's soon. When it's done,
Yes.
like Blizzard used to say.
That's the best option.
Yeah. No, we're not financially, we are financially stable, so we just want to make this right and release it when it's going to be the most enjoyable, right? We are really proud of the cinematic here.
Indeed, it's so beautiful and touching a little, and a little bit touching.
Well, the idea of any game is to make you feel involved and to make you feel like you are the protagonist. It's the point in order to make you feel to make you care. This is actually what I love about what I love about games. They're a very good storytelling medium. Because you are the player. You played this before and you didn't restart the demo, so just click the main menu and click restart.
Oh.
Yep. Because the demo was supposed to be played in it's one go, and this is the demo for Gamescom. Like I told you earlier, we couldn't actually health problems. I couldn't actually prepare a new demo for this particular stream, but hopefully until the end of the week, people will be able to play a much longer demo.
You told me in the introduction that you've made now that the game is inspired on Slavic mythology.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what just happened on the screen, or we have to find out during the game?
No, other than the quite obvious that Marko failed to slay a dragon.
And that dragon, is that just a character that you have made, or is translatable to mythology?
What is interesting about Slavic mythology, unlike Western, here the mythological creatures are not very well
described,
visualized. Yeah, they're quite well described in words, but they're not very visualized. For instance, when I say Chinese dragon, you know what it looks like. It's like a big snake that floats in the sky, doesn't have wings, right?
Mm-hmm.
While in Balkan and Slavic mythology, Balkan in particular, when you say a dragon, it's more a manifestation of the metaphysical and of forces of nature. So it might be a storm, it might be a hail, it might be something like that, but it's also implied that it's some sort of a creature, but it's not clear what it looks like, which is very cool and it's very open to interpretation. And it was very interesting for us to show this, that as you saw in the start, the dragon is actually just energy, and this is like it takes the form of a dragon. It's sort of evil, right? Evil in the form of this purple smoke that takes form, the shape of a dragon, and many other things, of course.
I like when mythology is like that, because leaving something to our imagination most of the times just makes it way more frightening than if it was described, if they described perfectly how the dragon was.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
deer.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So as you saw at the start, Marco has three brothers. This is quite an apparent motif in Balkan folklore, that there's always three brothers, and the youngest brother, the underdog, is always who comes out on top in the end. At the start, he is the underdog. He has no particular qualities. His brothers are are stronger, more powerful, smarter, and so on. But they're also more arrogant because, you know, that's what they believe in themselves. While Marco is the underdog. And he is more the unlikely hero in this case, right? So it's quite interesting because Marco himself is based on a real life, on a historical figure, which very interestingly wasn't as heroic as the myths make him out to be. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it makes.
Yeah, and it was very interesting for interpretation because all of the regions in the Balkans have different tales about this historical character. But we all agree that he had great strength. He was a great hero, but the details are sort of murky and they are different from place to place. It was very interesting for us to research because, like I said, it's not very documented. The Balkan and Slavic myths are not as well documented as Western ones, purely because I'm not sure actually why we didn't we did not find out why.
I know
They're
it.
not as well documented, but yeah, it's quite interesting topic to research.
Can you hear me perfectly now?
Yep.
Okay, okay. This game is just an action platformer, or at any point will be some sort of Metroidvania?
It's definitely Metroidvania. It might not be as apparent in the first couple of minutes of the game, but it's
Mhm.
definitely Metroidvania. The idea is that we want to tell the story in a way that's complex without, we try to stay to the point. I'm sure you've heard of it, show, don't tell.
Yes, it's
So
my
we want to
favorite
tell
way to
this,
tell a story.
yeah, yeah. So we want to tell the story through the environment more than anything else. We want to, so obviously, like any Metroidvania, there are many different paths. There is no correct way to go through the game, right? So the interesting thing, what we found out about this particular genre, is that the experience will vary depending on which path the player chooses. So, for your example, you might find clues that say that the story is, for instance, Marko is the good guy, right? While another player might find out particular details in the game that might say something else, like Marko is actually the bad guy.
I
Um,
understand.
yeah, so it was quite difficult. It was quite difficult to do in a way that's comprehensive, but it's also very rewarding because it's so interesting to the players. It becomes a topic of conversation.
You told previously that your team was very short. How big is your team? How many elements do your team have?
So we are actually four plus a coffee machine. We do count the coffee machine as a full-time member because it's like
Yeah,
without the coffee machine,
I
no.
completely get you on that.
Yeah. So it's interesting for me to watch other people play because it's very rewarding, but also to see if you actually find out all the secret places or all the hidden niches. They're not that many here, but
There are secret places?
yep, like like here. There's nothing as hardcore as Zelda or anything that you need to hit a particular rock that looks just like the other rocks and that opens a secret room. There's nothing like that, but they're more. We're trying to do a more mid-core game, more than anything, to make it more enjoyable.
I do not
Um,
know if I found this in the previous run. I do not think so.
that's interesting. But you saw like at the start of the game when you drop down, most of the games, most of these types of games, the player is used to going right.
Oh, Do you know
right?
that? Do you know that meme? There's a meme. I always
Yeah.
go left, and in the other day, perhaps a month ago, I saw a meme that just it was my face. Dad, why do you always go left in games? Because one time when I was a very little guy, there was a secret on the left, and I did not saw him. Now I always go left. No one will fool me ever again. And
So
I'm that person. I'm that person.
yeah, I am the same. But you know, it's we wanted to make like the tutorial because you didn't feel it because you're obviously experienced with these types of games. But the idea is that you would naturally go right if if you're not an experienced player, and you go right and it's closed, right? So the other way
Yes.
you would go left, and then you learn how the secret place, the cave with the light looks like, and you automatically know, like your brain knows to look for these types of places. That it means there's something there.
I've seen a thread on Reddit about game design, and the devs were talking about stuff that is very obvious to them, but
Mm-hmm.
the players do not get those. And I've started for the left, as I've told you previously, but when I reached the wood that blocked my path, I already
Mm-hmm.
had the sword.
Yeah,
But I understood that your meaning was for you to teach the player that it was not the proper way to go, that he had to turn back. And at the same time, you were explaining that there were some walls that would be a secret room, if I
exactly. Yeah,
can say it. It was your team teaching the player. It was very clever, a very clever way to do it.
it's very. I really prefer, like, again, show don't tell. It's very. I really prefer these types of teaching where you would naturally start. As you see, there was no prompt on the screen how to press the sword, right? The slashing. There's no press X to attack, right? But you would naturally try to do all the stuff, and then you would learn it by yourself. Some of the things do require prompts, like here, for instance.
Yeah, it was.
But we are trying to, yeah, but we are trying to keep that to a minimum in order to sort of make things not obvious. Nobody likes to be told what to do, right? You
Yeah,
want to discover it on your own.
but information like this one that we are seeing in the screen, healing salve, a potent. Well, we have to press B to use it and to recover some of our health.
Mhm.
This information is quite
Yeah,
useful, and I agree that you give it to the player. And about information, on the top left, there's a filler that we have that is about courage, I guess. How
yeah,
do I use it?
exactly, yeah, that's courage. You will find out.
I've
So
on my previous run, I was never. I went to the button configuration,
yeah.
but I've never learned how to use it.
So you have missed something that will show that will. There's a specific. Basically, you activate the abilities with the courage. Sort of, you gather the Marko gathers the courage in order to perform special attacks and other things in the future.
Oh,
But you
okay.
have missed something. You have missed basically the special attack that you can perform in the previous run. Hopefully, you'll find it this, but it's very fun and it's very creative. Um,
Oh, so I did not find it. So
yeah,
if you see me skip it again, just
I'll
tell
let you
me.
know. I'll let you know. I hate to do that, but I'll let you know.
Go there. People want to see
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Um, so yeah, the interesting thing about game design is always very hard to distance yourself from your own knowledge because I obviously know how to
It
do
is.
all the things in the game, but watching other people fail and miss what I thought was obvious is always very eye-opening.
Yes, yes, yes. I know that.
Yeah.
But
So are
you
you
told
familiar with? Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
you told previously that I was experienced with these games, but I'm not a very good player at all. I like to play games. I love to play games, but I was never a very good and clever player.
Yeah.
So
So are you familiar with the pogo mechanic?
with
With the pogo mechanic?
yes,
Okay. So this particular where you are right now, this particular enemy placement was placed there in order for you to try out if you are familiar with it. Basically, the pogo mechanic,
Oh,
you can still go there, right? It's still possible to make that jump, but the idea is for the people who know how to do it to just try it out and see if that's in the game, right? Basically, the pogo mechanic is for those who are
like in Super
unfamiliar.
Mario.
Yeah, basically strike downwards and then you jump upwards like pogo the device. So you
Let me
did miss
try.
something. You did miss something back on the right, where you were downstairs. No, like down. You actually went up a little bit and then you came back. It's further right. You missed like a whole section. Yeah, it's on the right up there.
On the right?
Yep, up there. The ledge
Oh
is
yeah,
here.
yeah. I
You
thought
went up and then you came down.
I thought that I was
Okay,
going.
so now do you see the light on the left? On the left, up the ledge. Yep.
I did not found this. I did not
Yeah.
found this.
And there it is. So that's a special ability that you can use courage on.
Yes. Costs 5 courage. I see
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah.
That's why I could not activate it. I had
Yeah,
no
so you
ability
you
whatsoever.
didn't have anything to do. Yeah. So the idea with Marko.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Very cool. The player also has a dash. I found it quite interesting that you do not go on the easy route. The dash does not make you completely invulnerable.
Yeah, so this is more like this is, I would say, more like a roll. So it's just to get you out of the way quicker.
Yes.
In a couple of, actually, I don't want to spoil anything, but there is an upgrade which makes you invulnerable when you do that. Plus, it makes you be able to dash in the air. So it's like a more classical dash.
Okay. I did not use the life. I was talking to you and I was distracted.
That's okay. It's just the tutorial.
Yeah.
So it was very, when we started out, it was very interesting how we made the decision to go with hand-drawn animations because it's obviously harder and more intensive, and it takes a lot more time. Everything that you see on the screen is like all of the movements are hand-drawn. It's frame by frame, classic Disney style, but it's incredibly. It takes a very long time. Especially with such a small team. But it always, when I look at games that were 2D games, of course, that were animated via some sort of, they're called skeletal meshes, where you basically have a puppet on top of the different parts of the body and you move them programmatically. This always looks more organic and it looks more natural because you have that stretch and squash, and it just looks to me, it looks right to me, right? And of course, I've grown during the 90s when these types of animations were very popular on TV. All of the Disney shows like DuckTales, and then it came the Lion King came out that time, and we've always wanted to do something that's at least partially inspired by by these shows. Because when you're a kid, a lot of things just stay with you throughout your life. They make a big impression on you.
Of course. But for people like me, I've stopped now so people could see the animation, the standing animation of Marko is breathing a bit harshly. The level of detail and the mustache. I love that mustache. I want one just the same. My wife would kill me, but I love it. And I'm Portuguese. Portuguese people have mustaches. So, and all the enemies have the same sort of animations, a standing animation. They are not just frozen in the screen. They are never completely stopped. It's fantastic.
Of course, it's the mustache, especially. It's not also just a Portuguese thing. I think it's a Southern European maybe, because a lot of our I would say 19th century revolutionaries used to have, like, during the 19th century, everybody had a mustache, right?
Yes, yes, that's true.
And when we thought about it, we thought about, let's give him like a beautiful mustache, and maybe he can do some attacks with the mustache as well. Like grow Super Saiyan mustache and glow and fly and shoot lasers out of his eyes, maybe. But we tuned it down a bit. So when we thought about it, there isn't really any characters that you remember from video games, other than Mario himself, of course, that have mustaches, right?
Yeah,
And maybe the bad guy from Sonic. I don't remember his name.
Robotnik,
Robotnik, yeah. Yeah.
Eggman. My kid knows him as Eggman.
Yeah, the one that Jim Carrey played.
Yeah, of course.
So there isn't really that many characters with mustaches, and it's a very easy to spot thing on the screen. So you always know where the character is, just because he has such a strong silhouette, and he pops out from the rest of the game, which is very important when you're a game designer. You want the player to be always aware where the character is. And Marko has some special colors, for instance, like the sash, that are not present anywhere in the game. So you're not mistaken. What is the character? Where is the character?
I was saying exactly that on my next sentence. You will never mix Marko with the background.
Yeah.
And even the different layers of animation, they may not seem like it on stream because the quality is not the same. But for us, the player, it's completely noticeable what is the playing field or the background. It's very well designed. And there are some traps here and there that you will spot, but they are very visible on the screen.
Yeah. Well,
oh, this is where I cheat. This is where I.
Well, it's traps at the first. You want to teach the player how to play the game, so they're supposed to be visible. But they're always supposed to be visible. But in the future levels, they get very intense, and it's. I wouldn't say you wouldn't break your controller, but you would definitely feel frustrated.
Yes.
And you always, as a game designer, you always want to find this sweet spot where the player is frustrated but feels that the game is fair. So it never feels unfair, right?
Now let's cheat a little bit. This save state is fantastic.
That's okay, you can cheese it if you want. But remember that once you activated the boss, he'll just keep spawning the little guys.
Yes, I know. But since I have the time and patience to just go back and forward. And here we go. Now I can kill the little guys with trouble.
Yeah. With the whirlwind you can kill them as well. It's very satisfying when there's a lot of them.
I'm not. Why it does not? Oh, I was pressing the wrong button. No, I was not.
You don't have the courage, maybe.
What?
Do you have? I can't see because my.
I have the full meter of courage.
Oh, maybe you saved without. You died and then you didn't pick the skill.
Oh, perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Let's go back.
So maybe that's a bug. It's not a feature. Once you have unlocked, once you have unlocked the special skill, it's not supposed to be.
I went there once or twice, but I've died several times.
Yeah.
So I didn't get there. Let me check. No, I went there.
Are you holding the courage? I can't see because of the.
It's full.
Because of the title.
It's. Or is this one?
Is the courage and then the attack? What does it say in the bottom?
It's left bumper, isn't it? I cannot see the.
If you go to the menu button on your controller, you can see the controls. Not the other. Yeah. Further.
Okay.
Yep, there it is. It's
Rules.
the right button.
Interact. Jump.
Right button, the cast courage thing on the top right, and then the attack.
Okay, right bumper. Okay.
Not the trigger. The trigger is on the bottom, the top one.
Let's go again. But let's try it. No, it does. Oh, it did now.
Yeah.
It did now.
You need to hold the cast and then the trigger. Sorry, you need to call to activate the courage and then the attack.
Okay, that's what I was doing wrong.
Maybe we need to explain this a bit more obviously.
I was trying to press both at the same time.
Okay. So the idea is that Marko has you gather different weapons which work in a different way. So for instance, the sword is I would say the normal weapon, like the default weapon that has different abilities. For example, you have the whirlwind, you have a couple of like dash, slash, and so on. And then you have a mace, which is much slower, but is more powerful. So you need to time your attacks better. And then you have an axe, like the axe that was at the beginning, but a bit more. It's a fancier axe, and it's not inspired by God of War. But it's much faster, so it hits for less damage, but it's faster, so you need to you'll be quicker moving around. And the idea is that each of these weapons can be upgraded, but not all of them at the same time. So you need to sort of choose which sort of
playing style
game you prefer, and then it unlocks different abilities. So for instance, the axe can also be thrown, like a throwing axe. And you can juggle it back and forth, so you can sort of hit it and then it bounces back towards the enemy, and so on and so on and so on, almost indefinitely, but not. This is one of my favorite characters that you're at right now. It's obviously a traveling salesman of some sort, but he's very shady because he's drinking coffee, and it's kind of in the middle of the night, and he's in the dark. But who am I to judge?
I believe that this village here will function as a sort of hub, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the main hub. These are all vendors that you unlock gradually.
I just do not have the materials to interact with them.
They're just locked in the demo because you can't buy anything from them at the start. You just have to annoy people. But like I said, at the end of the week or early next week, we will have a new demo which is updated, and we will have all the stuff because it has like an hour or so of game time.
Despite being on the short side, this demo is perfectly acceptable to explain what the game is.
Yeah, I hope so.
And the Crimson Caverns.
Yeah. Oh, so you know about this.
What?
You always go left.
No, I always go left.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting zone that we were stuck for at a while, because we really wanted to do something on the sort of spookier side, because spooky is very hard to do well in a way that's not overdone or too little, sort of like. And actually vampires do originate on the Balkans, so why not?
Yes. And you already talked about the vampires, so I think we know what we are expecting in the next room. Does this game only be on Steam, or do you, or are you considering console versions?
So we are definitely considering console versions. I think this is a perfect game to play on the Switch. Maybe I think these types of games are best played on a controller, and it's very. We are considering it. We are currently in talks with different publishers, but if we don't get the correct partner, we will definitely do it on our own. Perhaps it will not be at the same time when the Steam releases, but hopefully. It's definitely in the how do they say it? It's definitely in the works.
People always ask in the chat if the game would have Switch versions, so that's why I've asked.
Yeah.
We have
Fingers crossed it will.
a group of fans from the Switch, so I already know. I already know the questions in advance.
That's okay. So the really cool thing about Vasco, for example, the original vampires in popular culture originated in Romania,
Yes.
and Vasco is actually what we call Valechia in Bulgarian. Does that make sense? So it means the Valechian basically.
Yes, yes, yes. We. I was not paying attention. It's hard to talk and to play at the same time.
Yeah, I know.
The movements of the boss, they are completely telegraphed, so you can just memorize them.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Doing two things at the same time, you have died.
That's okay.
How important are for you events like IndieX?
Of course, of course. We were at Gamescom in August, and that was one of the biggest.
Gamescom
one
is
of the
massive.
great. Yeah,
It's massive.
absolutely. And it's always very nice to get to talk to people who are actually at the booth and playing the game, and it's very quick and easy to get feedback because on the internet communication is never the same as it's when we're talking face to face. You can still build the connection with people, but it's very different. So physical events are very, very cool and very important for us.
How hard it is for you to make a game like Marko stand out in the middle of a crowd of 100 daily games that pop up on Steam?
That's a very interesting question. So there's a couple of sides to the question. The first one is that you want to have a game that's very well made, which is hard, of course, because it requires a lot of hard work. But then on the other side, you want to have a subject that is also interesting to people. And in our case, I believe we have chosen something that's interesting first to us, that we are interested in making. Hence, we're going to put as much effort as possible in order to make it a very good game, right? So I hope we stand out just because of the quality and of course, there's a lot of things to improve, but the thematic is very interesting, and the animations are quite on a level that we hope we can stand out. There's also the music we are very proud of that you're currently hearing.
Yes.
It's inspired by local traditions and local musical elements. It's recorded entirely in a studio, so it's not samples or anything. It's proper music, like it's supposed to be done, like the big boys do it. Because sound is maybe for us at least 50% of the experience.
Okay, and that's
And
the proper way to end it.
Yeah.
I was trying hard now a little bit because our time is coming to an end. That's why I've tried to finish it. For the ones that are watching, the combat is very fluid, and do not expect this. We talked a little bit about this. Do not expect the traditional get out of jail card that you have on a dash. Here, you really have to time your movements. You have to know what you are doing, and this is just the tutorial, as Boyan was explaining it to us, because it will probably the difficulty will probably escalate very, very quickly. But I found it interesting and satisfying to fight the characters, especially the bosses, because the feeling that they gave us is very tactile, if I can say it, because you always know how to attack and when to attack. The game does not try to fool us and to trick us. It's very fair on the mechanics, despite being a little bit on the harder side in the future, not here on the demo, but it's very fair on the mechanics. Boyan, before we end, do you want to tell something to the ones watching?
Right, of course. Well, I hope they play the demo and the new one, of course, which is coming later this week. Wishlists are quite important for us as a studio because we do not have previous titles, so we actually don't have a big fan base, and wishlists as a whole are quite important for the visibility of the game and the potential of success. Um, we're trying definitely to improve. We know what's wrong with the demo. We're trying definitely to improve all the things that we are missing or not quite there. We are almost done with production. Hopefully, the official production will end in the middle of November, and from then on, await to announce the actual release date.
A final question for you: will you be present on the physical event you or someone from your team on the physical event on next November here from IndieX?
So sadly, I won't be able to attend because I have a medical issue that is still sort of being worked on. But hopefully next year, I hope we can attend physically and get to meet all the amazing people. I was actually planning to attend, but things happen, unfortunately.
I can only wish you to get better. And you have told me previously that you were sick, on a sick leave. And thank you for your time and patience to be here with me, even if you are not in your best shape.
It's going to get better.
Well, guys, I think it's time to end for my colleague to arrange and prepare the next stream. Thanks, Boyan, to be here with me and to have the patience to explain the game to me and to the fans. And see you next time, guys. Bye.